Hello viewers, welcome once again to another riveting edition of the Enterprise Uganda Forums. Now today, we have a very interesting story which I'm sure all of us are going to pick inspiration from, and especially the young people, it's those that have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We know there are many graduates who are seated home. There are many teenagers, those in secondary schools who are seated home. And I'm sure in today's edition, we should be able to pick very good inspiration tips to see how we can push them into the world of entrepreneurship, into the world of working. Now, this is Charles Boji. I'm your host for the day. And as usual, we have our coach, the business coach. I'll give him the space to introduce himself.
Viewers, good evening. I'm Charles Ochichi, the Executive Director of Enterprise Uganda. And I want to say, make Sunday afternoons your best bet on how to spend that week.
Very good. Now, today's topic, we're looking at practical business tips on how to move from a school dropout to an owner of a promising micro enterprise in a city market. Now, the story we're going to hear is actually about the city market. And the young man we have today has demystified the concept of market. You have the market, the stall, and then you have the market in the virtual space.
Yes.
But we'll discuss that a little in detail. Charles, what has intrigued you this week in the world of business?
One thing that, Charles, I think is going to begin to take a lot of space in our conversations as we cross the COVID period is the issue of paying bank loans. And this week has not been without that communication. Last week we had that conversation. This week has had the same conversation. And I just wanted to tell Ugandans that, one, banks will always be part of your growth if you want to succeed and expand very well in business. But for you to take a bank loan, there are rules. There are things you must obey. There are things you must get right. And I want to make this very general comment about banking and lending and loans in general. A bad loan that will not be paid on time starts at the time of signing for that loan. You ask yourself, before I came to this bank, did I talk to another bank? Did my bank reject me? If my bank rejected me, why? Don't just simply say those banks are, they are foreign owned, those banks are this and that. There's something in that conversation you don't need to ignore completely. Number two, where will you get the money to pay that money? Answer that question using the history that you've had yourself about that type of a business in case you're expanding that business. Where will you get that money in case you are going into a new business? Before you use the assumptions to take to the bank that you'll pay, ask that person who is not in that type of a business and see how they are doing that type of a business. I say this because some of the loans we are going to take are a 5-year loan, 8-year loan, 6-year loan. If you take a bad loan for 8 years, you are in pain. That is destructive. For those who have not yet borrowed, you have no idea what it means to have a non-performing loan and you are being reminded to pay. And you are being reminded to pay based on the papers you signed. If you check the papers you signed, and then you look at how you are performing, ask yourself, where did you get it wrong? There is hardly a loan in this country, and I say this with a lot of honesty, with a lot of love for the bankers, for the borrowers, for the private sector. There is hardly a loan that will be granted to a borrower without detailed paper documentation. And the first detailed paper documentation is the type of the business, how you will pay the bank. A lot of time is spent 3, 4, 5, 6 months discussing that part before it's put in writing. The second part is, now that we have discussed that part, let's now say, assuming that discussion didn't work out as honestly as possible, where will be the fallback position of the bank? In other words, the assets that the bank could fall on to sell and recover their money. Now, the bankers are getting a step further. They are saying, just in case you are giving us an asset that might erode in the market faster, we're also going to get you to sign personal guarantees so that we lift the veil and look for your other assets where your name exists. Now, those are two fundamental things in the documentation of the loan. As you document the loan, it should be you, the borrower, first to say, Mr. Bank, I'm not taking $1 million, I'm taking $500,000. And do not be persuaded just because a bank thinks you have a good collateral, you now go for a bigger loan. Tell yourself, how will I pay this loan? We will keep talking about loans. It's a subject that's not going to go away.
And I can see it's quite passionate to you.
It is.
Given the, the time you're giving it and the passion you're giving it.
And it's one area where we grow the private sector.
Yeah.
We need people who go to the bank, borrow and pay. Not to go to the bank, then pay using the security. By the time you're paying using the security, the pain, not only to the borrower, the family, the people who are benefiting from that family, and then to the bank officer who was behind the processing of that loan.
I hear you,
Somebody's
Charles.
career is at stake.
Absolutely. Thank you, Charles, for that digest you're giving us on that. Viewers, the reason why we're putting or investing a bit of time on that subject is the reality in the market. Of course, we're seeing a number of business people that are distressed and a bit of a hard relationship between the banks and the business community at the moment, and we anticipate more to come with COVID, given the impact that the COVID-19 has had on business. But we here at Torres give you guidance on what you can do from the coach, and then of course from the business people that are practically doing this in their day-to-day lives. Now, this is the time when I introduce our guest. Our guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is Atwib. Atwib Buyengo is a businessman, I should say, an entrepreneur. He's into retail business. Others would call it, on the other part, I don't want to say a market vendor, because the market vendor that people look at or think about is a person who has a stall in the market. His business begins there and starts there. But Buyengo is doing much more than that, as you will know or you will hear. You're most welcome, Buyengo, to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Boji. Thank you, the viewers. By names of Buyengo Atwib, and actually they said we should not use that kind of word, a market vendor, but I work in the market. That's Nakawa Market. To all of you who know it, yeah, yes.
All right, you're most welcome, Atwib.
Yes.
As a man of your words,
Yes.
I hope.
Very
Charles,
good.
let's get to last week's discussion.
Yeah.
We had again another young man.
Yeah,
Atwib here is a 23-year-old.
very good.
The one we had last week is 27 years
Very
old
true.
and is
Very
running a business with a portfolio running in hundreds of millions.
That's correct, yeah.
What were the key issues that you picked from that interaction last week?
Very good. Let me first start by saying this. Viewers should know that every candidate we bring here has a benefit to you. If it is not that you are not a young man, the story of Atwib here, you have relatives who are like Atwib, whom you need to borrow from this story and go and assist. The story of Alex last week was an interesting case because it was a story of a child raised in the city, got his degree, got a job, and immediately got a job. Disaster struck. He lost a job within 2 months. And the family had a family enterprise. But instead of saying, please come quickly, let's work in our business here, the young man said, but Daddy, I have been observing you running this guest house. And I saw that people want laundry services. Why don't I walk that path? But he was not saying go that path so that he's employed. He said, I want to go that path so that I may acquire the necessary skills to run my own enterprise. Now, here are the key learnings, and I want to go through them in a distilled, clear way. Number one, support of a family is vital for the success of a young entrepreneur. Because in the young entrepreneur's journey, it's all tough and competitive. A family can be a shoulder to rely upon. Number two, education should be seen as a vehicle for broadening one's career options and not just as a gateway for a good full-time job. You will hear as I go to the details of the story of Alex, because this young man had an engineering degree. He could have just said, you know what, this engineering degree, I've been told from Nazareth, study hard, go and get a good job. Finally got one, but the disaster struck and he couldn't keep it. These are the headlines. Number 3 headline. A bank can grow its business and balance sheet even without adding new clients, provided it helps existing clients to grow with it. That's exactly what Stanbic Bank did with Alex. Said, Alex, go to Enterprise Uganda, acquire business skills. As you grow, we have a chance to grow our deposits by your own deposits.
Yeah.
We have a chance to grow our loan portfolio by lending to Alex. Without even adding any other clients,
Yeah.
Alex alone can be a story for Stanbic to start to experience growth.
Yeah.
Now, here are the lessons that came out specifically to Alex. Number 1, family business can be a great and a safe laboratory for instilling children the principles of running a business. Alex went into a family business right from primary 6. And throughout his career at school, even at the university, in between, he was taking up assignments. So it's good to get these kind of things start happening as early as possible.
Yeah.
Number 2, starting as a necessity entrepreneur. An entrepreneur was pushed into the thing out of loss of a job. If Alex had remained in employment, he would be probably now a manager, probably a supervisor somewhere, but the circumstances were such that the job ended. But here's the message. Starting from such a point where you went in because you've lost a job, you can actually transition into what they call in business management opportunity entrepreneur. Somebody now says this sector can grow, this sector can be profitable. So do not imagine that just because you started from some basic situation, you lock yourself right in there. Number 3, startup capital will always be inadequate, but it should never be a limitation for somebody to start a business.
And that's a song we hear every day.
All the time. Nobody will go to start a business, I will say, I had enough startup capital. Never.
Yeah.
But with the little you have, can you start getting a few customers? And can you start building the experience on how to serve customers? By the time Alex was in the Namirembe location, which was not so ideal, he still learned how to serve customers. Every day you could get 50 pieces. But as you'll hear later, he was now serving 500 pieces of clothes to be cleaned per day. Successful enterprise requires a good balance of technical and business skills. Many times we just think it's only technical skills or even just capital or input, but a good balance of technical and business skills. Alex kept the machinery for washing clothes in the store for 9 months as he headed for Wootali College to acquire the technical skills. After acquiring the technical skills, he said, this is not sufficient. Stanbic, when they saw him taking off, said, you're doing well. You need to move on from there to running this thing as a business. Under the Stanbic Incubator Program, Enterprise Uganda was brought in, and this young man now had a blend of technical skills and business skills, and in the process what happened? He is now having a 10-fold growth of his business to 500 pieces a day with 3 outlets. A transgenerational family business, in other words, a business that goes across the family, different levels of family, should have shared values. But individuals in there can also start their own businesses.
I love that, Charles, because you
Yes.
know, we tend to think that the other family members can always come in
And being this very old one.
the very old business,
Yes.
especially if the mzee no longer has energy to do certain things.
Yes, yes,
Or
yes.
he's passed on.
Correct.
And I think that's where we go wrong.
That is the thing. We need, that's why this, even us who are business coaches, we're beginning to balance the way we share this message. That please, there is that historical family empire. Let's continue to build it. But as we build it, just remember this young man was gotten married and has got a passion in another area. Don't block that kind of a dream. He will continue to add value to the original family enterprise, but allow the other old dream, new dream also to flourish.
To flourish, yes.
So that we don't bottle these fellows in this thing and start saying, you are not seeing the vision. I don't know what's wrong with you. Be liberal.
Yeah.
Tell him, feel free. Run where your passion is, but continue to give us guidance in this other historical enterprise. The other thing that again came up, even for a young business person like Alex, expect jealousy and unfair judgment from the competition and the public, but have coping mechanisms. When you see jealousy, just confirm that, one, now I think I'm making things to happen. Otherwise, why be jealous of me when I'm not even causing any ripples?
They'll just cheer you on if
Yes.
you're headed for the fall.
Correct.
Yes.
So who has ever been jealous of a beggar in the streets? But you begin to move away from being a beggar and begin to change things. And it's as, this fellow used to be a beggar, now he's leaving us behind.
Yeah.
Jealousy sets in. So Alex said, that will be my affirmation that I'm in the right track. I will continue in this game, but I will also make sure that I help as many people as I can within the sector. Then calamities like COVID will disrupt once established markets, but that could also be an opportunity for you now to discover markets you never have thought about. Alex lost the market of customers who used to reside in the hotels and then said, what do I do with these machines of mine, with my employees, with my technical skills? He has used that to quickly improve his marketing skills, and he has recovered 70% of his business, even before the old business has come back as a result of COVID-19. While pushing young people into business, handouts, this is his advice now, handouts and cash without business skills could lead to dependency. Handouts and cash do not create an entrepreneur. That's what he said. You can have those things, including the machines that he was having. If you don't know how to process laundry, nobody will come in just because somebody gave you, your dad gave you machines, or somebody has given you rent and you are renting a place there. We will not.
It's never
An
charity.
entrepreneur is not created by just handouts and cash. So he said it is counterproductive actually to emphasize that direction.
Yeah.
All right, Alex received modest support from the family for his basics, but he has since more than 3 times doubled the amount of equipment he has acquired on his own. That shows you that once you give support to a young person, the only affirmation you can know that he has used it better and is on the right path, how much on his own has he added? If the person who took a cow from you last year is coming back because that cow died, he couldn't look after, and is looking for another cow from you because he wants milk, he wants something to get daily income, that fellow, you've not helped him. If you assisted somebody with an ox plow 3 years ago, he has used it until it is useless, and is back saying again, you know, uncle, the other ox plow is damaged.
Yes.
Give me another one.
Yes.
You've damaged the fellow.
Yeah.
And then finally, success is not about how many degrees and academic titles one acquires, but it's about how many lives you transform. This came from a young man who was saying, I have a good degree, but until I begin to cause changes in people's lives by laundry services, Rotaract services, and begin to have a person of influence in community, you are not serving anybody by just showing them your paper qualifications. Those were the kind of key lessons that came out.
Very powerful words indeed. And to add to that, you know, someone was asking me this morning what success is. And I think they've heard it and heard it loud.
Very
that
good.
It's not just about you, it's about the community as well. In fact, these days we talk about social entrepreneurship as well.
Very true.
I think one of these days, Charles, will bring a social entrepreneur for people to really appreciate.
We will do it.
Absolutely. Now, this is a time when I come to you, Hatwib. But before I come to you, viewers, you can be part of this discussion. We'd like to hear from you. Of course, we'll have the phone lines open at the last part of this interaction. But then there's a number on the screen you can, you know, you can send a very short WhatsApp message with a question or a comment. Keep it brief and to the point. The coach can answer you, and Atwib here can also answer you. Now, we now know who Atwib is. You know, a bit of a digest of that.
True.
But you say you're a market vendor.
True.
What led you into business? I mean, you're just 23 years. I'm just imagining. At what point did you enter business? At 14?
Actually, I entered business when I was very young, if I'm to remember, because when I was still in my primaries, this is when I started that kind of fetching water for people, that side of Chireka. So for all those people in Chireka, at least you can tell, because most of you know me very well. That's when I started fetching water for people, collecting garbage. Of course, when I was depositing it that side of Lere. So as in that kind of stage, I went on with school, as well as doing that kind of job, that kind of business, because it was my business. And the good thing, I was led by my dad to do that kind of thing.
Okay.
Actually, with all purpose of making me getting used to the situation, to how to make money, to how to do money, like get the money and have it. Okay, so
That's a good point. Not just get the money
Correct.
and lose it, because
Okay.
you have to keep the money.
Correct.
You
Very
know,
good. Yeah.
That's my slogan for my other show. We teach people how to make money, keep it, and grow it.
Very
Good point.
and the other thing, you know, when you like work your money yourself,
Yeah.
you get to use it very well, because you've at least put in so much of your energy to get that money.
Yeah.
So you work hard to like you actually put more emphasis on it, such that you make something good in it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And I actually continued with school, as well as doing that kind of things, like in holidays. I used to do them on weekends after school. I do at least like after school from like in the evening. Sometimes I go and fetch some 5 jerry cans. I get the 1,000. I say, okay, I have this. At least it's my money.
Yeah.
So I continued with school, but trying to in some holidays I used to go to some friend of mine. He was there in Chireka, but now he left. He's called Kakembo. He was called Kakembo. He used to teach me how to do the hair cutting. So in some holidays I used to go there and again get that also, that
That skill.
of course. So I used to also get that skill in my mind, and I get to know that, okay, I have this also. So I again went on with school, as well as doing that kind of work, you know. So up to when it was senior 4, and that's why I stopped the education, because, you know, the family, there was lack of money, and, you know, I was born in a family of 6 children, and I'm the second born.
Okay.
So I had to show that heart, because at least, you know, the parents had to care for these young ones, because they also needed support. So I actually told him, what, you know what, my dad, what I should do, since I actually have some English, at least I can talk to people. And at least I have that courage when it comes to working. I can work, and I actually know myself. So I actually, he was like, okay, if it's what you want. He gave me that chance,
He let you go.
of course. So I started working. There is the salon there where I was working. It was really small, but it was not making money. So that's when I found Mr. Chiza Jackson from Nakawa. It's called JK Smart Salon. And he picked me from that side
To Nakawa Market
to
now.
Nakawa Market.
Okay.
So that's my way from Chireka to Nakawa Market. And when I went there as a barber, because that's by my skill. I can do the hair cutting, the scrubbing.
All styles.
Of course, when it comes to salon,
Okay.
I'm best in that also,
All
for
right.
your information.
Ah, wow.
Yeah. When I joined him,
So you did the barber bit, the scrubbing, and the what?
and nail clinic, like nail cutting. Yeah. So,
Okay.
and then when time used to go on, I was like, no, Mr. Chiza, I can do this thing. Because actually, when I went to Nakawa, we were, what was in the salon was only hair cutting. So I was like, why don't we add on this? Because I can do it.
What?
The scrubbing.
Okay.
He was like, oh, it's okay if at all you can do it. He bought that stuff.
And you started scrubbing people.
Of course. Yeah, and I have clients, but I have customers for that
Okay.
kind of side.
Yes.
And because by that time, you know, when it comes to cutting, by that time, people used to pay 2,000, 3,000, 1,500, like that. So I was like, when we put in this stuff, that's when we see, like, we'll start having something like customer comes and gives you 5,000.
Yes.
And of course it happened. So I started doing that thing. After cutting the person, I changed that, like changing that chair, right? Then I start scrubbing the person.
Yes.
After that, the person goes the other side for washing, like
Yes.
the head.
So you introduced a process.
Yes.
So cutting hair ceased being just cutting hair.
Of course.
Okay.
And we were like, we should do this to make sure that, you know, we are in the market. But we should at least don't show that we are this kind. We should have to show the level that everyone would be like, even if someone like those corporates will be like, no, I want to go to the other salon. Because at least for them, they have this service and this service. It's not only cutting.
Yeah.
You understand? So in that process, I used to work and work. That's when I got that guy he was called Edmond, but he left the market. He came, that guy used to have money. He used to have money in all pockets. And to me, now you can imagine that situation.
Yes.
When you want the money, the guy is having the money.
Yes.
So I had to ask him, where do you get this money? Where do you work?
So like money was in all pockets or
It
everywhere?
was in all pockets. The 4 pockets. This one and this one, plus the ones in the back.
Yes.
Because when he comes, he used
Yeah.
to put the market from the money from the back pocket. Again, as if he's looking for change, he gets in another pocket. I was like, now what's going on here? So I was like, actually, he didn't take me there on that very day. But the other day he came, I had to be like a parasite. Do you know, someone like, you have to take me whether you like it or not.
Where you get the money?
Of course, because I need to know and see where you get that money from. He took me. But he took me down the market. So what I found was like, is this what you're doing? Because I found fresh peas already made on the basket, full, a heap. And then fresh beans already made like a heap also. I was like, now, how do you get money in this? But as I was still asking myself those questions, the customer came. And you know that customer was asking for? That customer was asking for peas for 150. I was like,
Hold it there. Charles. Very interesting story indeed.
Very interesting.
And basic, everyday story.
Yeah. Look at how he started.
Yeah.
Right from home, he never said, I'm being punished by daddy
Yeah.
to carry jerry cans. We take that aspect of physical exercise, of doing something physical as if you're being punished. And sometimes even we as parents, we say, my child can never suffer. I suffered when I was growing up. I don't want to see my child
They
carry
can never
a jerry
carry
can.
water.
This young man was happily doing it, and dad was saying, good thing.
Yeah.
And along the way, he begins to learn the knack of earn the money, keep the money. Along the way, he begins to see dad is struggling. I says, Daddy, you are doing a good thing for us, but you are failing to cope. Why don't I just sort it out on my own? And dad says, I bless you. He walked the path of the unknown. And when he went there, he gets this job and does not just simply say, I'm supposed to be here just cutting hair. He says, I've learned how to do this thing, but we can add this also. Meaning, therefore, that as an employee, if you are self-driven, if this fellow had remained in the salon, he would have been the manager for this man's salons and probably a chain of them.
Yeah.
Because his spirit of trying to make the place better is the spirit you can reward and ignore the degree or the absence of a degree. The fellow stopped in senior 4. But this fellow could easily lead other graduates who go into that salon to cut hair and be their boss. Because his spirit is a spirit of saying we're here to serve a customer. But as we do that, we will be rewarded. But as he was doing that, in addition to that, he has a conversation with his clients. What do you do? I see you with a lot of money. The man says, no, right here in Nakawa, where the saloon is, Nakawa is just a few meters away. He says, why don't I go and see? He goes there and sees the basic transaction taking place. What's being done? Fresh supplies from the garden have arrived in Nakawa. Somebody has done the peeling, and the customer is giving the money. His brain opens.
He saw the money and where it's
Yes,
coming from.
correct.
So Atwib, you see that.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
When I saw that, then I started thinking about that. Because now this guy is getting this money, all this money in that business. This is the so I started telling myself, this is the kind of business I should do. If I want to earn money like the way the other guy earns, this is the kind of business I should do. Then that started like, you know, something like always in your head, you should do business.
I hear you. Now, you make a decision to join that business. Most people, most young people, the first question they will ask themselves is, what we were talking about, capital.
Mhm.
I don't have money. They will even feel sorry for themselves.
Mm.
I know there are many people who are even tied and stuck in jobs that they're not happy to be doing,
Of course.
and probably they have the ability to do something outside those confines, but they will tell you, where will I get the money? So how did you deal with that question as you are contemplating starting that journey?
Now for me, it was something different. Because having that chance of working in a salon, remember I'm earning something.
Yeah.
So there, I just actually, to me, I had the knowledge of saving the money. If I'm earning something like 5,000, I should make sure that at least I save something on that money because I have what I want. I have what I'm looking for. Have a goal, have a target for that money. You understand? And remember, actually, what I didn't tell you, by that time I was renting that side of Chirinya, Casa Road. So actually, in all means, I had to save the money.
You know, he has already told us something. By that time, he was renting.
Yes.
That is past tense.
Correct.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and actually, I started. Then, when I saved the money, it was around when there was about to end. I was like, now, what should I do? Because remember, I've seen that the other guy has money. So, and he's getting that money in the business. Which business I observed and seen. So I had to get the money that I had. I told my boss in the salon that what we should do. I'm going to start a business. So I'm no longer working with you. And he gave me that chance, by the way.
You didn't just run away.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
He gave me that chance. When he gave me that chance, I went to my parents. That's my grandmother. I was like, now I have this amount of money. I want to do this kind of business. Can you please add on like some money on that? She was like, it's okay. She gave me the money. Immediately, I didn't sleep that day because I had the money. I wanted to do the business because I wanted the other money like the other guy has. So I was like, okay. In the morning, I went to the market very early. I started looking for the place. And
How much money did the grandmother add to you?
she gave me 300,000.
300,000.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So I started looking for the place. But the good thing, I got the place on that very day. So
You knew your way. You've been working in that market.
of course, I got the place. When I got the place, then I started putting in. But actually what happened, that even before the period of 3 months that I paid, the business had gone.
It collapsed.
Yes,
Wiped.
of course. Do you know why? Because I had no knowledge about the business, but I was interested in the
The business.
So what happened, the business collapsed. When even the months that I paid for are still there. You understand? So I faced it rough that side. So I couldn't go back to the salon. I would look like a failure. I couldn't go back to my parents. I would again look like a failure. So I was like, now I should apply some common sense. Because I know I can work when it comes to working. When I went back home, I was like, now what should I do? Because now this is the situation. This is what I'm facing. How am I going to overcome this kind of situation? I went back to the market in the morning. I started carrying for people. You know, I like being smart sometimes. I want to tuck in. And to my surprise, the customer was like, no, you're very smart. You're expensive.
I hear you.
And so I was like, now being smart makes people to think that I'm expensive.
Yes,
and
yes.
yet I can even carry for 500. I was like, okay, now I should start being shabby, such that I can get the customers.
You got dirty, like they say.
Of course.
Well, hold it there, Atwib. Viewers, we're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll get to hear where Atwib went after that, and of course, where his business is today. Hello, welcome back. We are still Enterprise Uganda Forum, and We are looking at the story of a young man who is in business. Of course, viewers, this is our commitment, Enterprise Uganda, you know, to share with you practical business skills from the experiences of people that are doing business, drawn from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all ages, and sizes. Sizes in terms of money or financial standing. To really share with you what you can do in business, what you can do to actually build business sustainably. And today, the story we are hearing or picking from is that of a young man, 23-year-old, employing over 15 people, and, you know, has ticked quite a number of boxes. Yeah. Hatib, so your business collapses
True,
and you have to build again.
of course.
Tell us that story and where, of course, building to where your business is at the moment.
So I started caring for people, and you know, when you're not used to something, you get to feel like, how should I do it? Now the people have told me I'm smart, so I'm so expensive, so they'll be like, I will again think so much. So I started being shabby such that I can get some customers. Actually, I did that, and I started getting some customers, 500, 1,000. But sometimes you can even get the 500 for the whole day. Remember, you cannot even eat and use transport on that money. So I could do so much, but actually, one of the clients that day was a miracle to me. I cannot forget that day. That man is called Mr. Richard. He came and gave me a job. He would like, can you carry? I was like, yes. But what I cannot forget on that day, I was very hungry because I slept without eating. Then in the morning, without eating anything, I was very, very much hungry. The man came, and I carried for him. He bought Irish and Gonja and other stuff I carried. So when we reached the car, that's when the man was asking, how much do you want? Then the heart started pumping. What should I say? If I tell him 5,000, he will be like, are you not so expensive? Are you not a thief? When I tell him 10,000, how will it look like? Then once the heart pumped, and I was like 10,000, and I wanted to see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
The man just pulled the 10,000 in the wallet and gave it to me. It was like a miracle. You know, when you spend many days without even getting 5,000,
Yes.
and then you get 10,000.
Yes.
And I was like, now, I lost even the hunger that I had. I was like, now what should I do? Because at least I've got this 10,000. Then I gained like more energy and power to work. And I was like, I think I can get the other one. Since I've got this one, maybe I can get the other one. But unfortunately, I didn't get it.
You didn't get another.
Yeah. But I was so happy for that day because I got 10,000. The money that I took so long minus getting or having, I was like, now, at least I can do this thing. I think I can get money. The next day, now I got my commando for 1,000 and water for 100. And I kept the balance. I was like, let me go. Remember now, that is when the landlord was asking.
I elapsing.
Yeah, of course. And now I'm looking on the dates. And you know how you feel when you have dates.
Yeah.
And where you have nowhere to get the money to pay the dates.
Hold it there. Charles, what do you pick from that journey to that point?
This is an interesting journey. The fellow went into this game out of inspiration. And that was good. He saw somebody who was making money. He said, I'm going to do it. Inspiration alone is not sufficient without the skills to do the thing that seems to be inspiring you to go there. So he quickly thought, if I got money, and I've seen somebody making money decide, I'm going to jump in. We have all done it. You get money from NSSF, you get money from the office, you take a salary advance, you get money from wherever and just say, I've been inspired by so-and-so is doing a certain type of a business. You jump in all your feet without the necessary skills. He burnt himself. Good enough He told daddy, I'm leaving, no going back. He told the saloon owner, I'm leaving, no going back.
This has to work.
He drew upon himself and said, I'm going to go back at this thing. And that's where the word resilience, persistence comes in.
I hear you.
And he's beginning to go through this tough terrain, and he's saying, along the way, somewhere God rewards you, but you keep going and keep going.
Now, Hatwib,
Yes.
very interesting one actually, the resilience story. So you now begin to rebuild.
Of course.
Yeah.
And now, when I started working, I also got another customer. She's called Audrey. I cannot forget her also, because she also used to come. When she comes, she calls. At least I got to know that at least I also have customers that come looking for me to
At
carry
Tweeb,
for them
in the
yes.
market.
And I was like, okay, at least I feel myself. Then in a process, also Mr. Richard started to ask stuff from me. Like, can you get me these things? Can you get me these things? I was like, yes, of course, I can do it. And then I do the shopping. When he comes, I take the stuff to the card and he pays. Then I come back and pay the people.
Wow.
I started doing like that. Then I started getting some other clients like that. So I was like, I want to do the other business, the one I started with. And I went to some lady. Actually, her daughter is the one who took me to her. And actually, when we went there, she took me to her. And remember, actually, what I know from myself, and I thank my parents for that, we have discipline. And discipline is the reason why this lady was interested in me. She was like, you're such a good boy. You can start working. Then I started preparing those stuff, like the peas, removing them from the shells.
Okay.
She was like, you will do it slowly but slowly, you get the experience. I started working for that lady. Remember, I already had those customers of mine who used to come asking for me to carry for them, asking for me to shop for them. So when I started working for this lady, she's called Chigambo. When I started working for her, she's in the age of my mom, so I used to call her my mom. And she used to call me son, by the way. And that's what happened. We started working. Then she got like, what should I say? She trusted me so much, because I had the customer care. When it came to calling up customers, please come, we have fresh stuff, we can even give you bonus. We can actually, that kind of good way talking to the clients. And the clients got interested also in me. And we started getting customers that this mommy of mine wouldn't expect who would get. You understand? So she started leaving me at the workplace in weekly days. But like, now I'm building up. Remember, I'm gaining the experience. What I was looking for.
I hear you.
She used to leave me there. I started working. Now time passed, days passed. She used now to now show me where this stuff come from. Like when they bring them from the village, where do they put them? So I started going to Usafi and Nakasero. So she used to tell me, you go, like sending me for some few stuff. You go to Usafi, go and get us peas, go and get us beans, like that. So she started trusting me with big money, like huge amounts. I used to go at around 4 a.m. in the morning, because I wanted to go there and check the stuff before the other people come in. I went. I did the thing. Remember, I'm all in that. I'm gaining the experience. Now I know people who are supplying those stuff. Okay? So what happened in a due period, when time came, I was like, now, Mommy, I think I'm going to start my business. After getting all that experience, after knowing the business, how to get the stuff, when to do them, how can I sell them when they're selling them this amount, how should I sell them to get money and get some profit?
I hear you. Charles.
Super young man, but he picks it out of when he's on the road. We teach these things in our training, but this young man walked and paid the price of mistakes, of lack of skills. But now he had to go back and pick the skills from the very beginning. But he had a character that was endearing him to many people.
Unfortunately, most entrepreneurs
Yeah.
who burn their fingers
Yes.
are not humble enough
Correct.
to actually ask themselves, where did I go wrong?
Exactly.
Where can I pick lessons? Others
Exactly.
instead
Yes.
drop that idea and go
Exactly.
for another,
Say this one doesn't work.
and it becomes a vicious cycle of burning fingers and
Correct.
everything along the way.
And see the humility he got.
Yeah,
He gets his contacts, his clients, and goes with all those clients to the old lady.
yeah.
And as they call him, where are you? Where? He say, come here, we have fresh stuff here. And the old woman said, what a client, what a staff this one is. He went there not out of just sympathy, to add value to the old lady. But as he was doing that, the old lady was now releasing the trade secrets to him.
Yeah.
Where do we buy the things? There's a place called Usafi. It opens at midnight. Go there, you are young. Go there, you are 18, 19. Go to Usafi. He does the trips and doesn't run away with the money. The lady says, bring the items, take charge of the entire stall. He mastered the trade skills out of a very, very practical way. And one word he used, which is key in all this, is trust. Trust, hard work. Trust, hard work. Opened a good
I
door
like
for
the
him.
fact that he's not burning his bridges everywhere he works.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that is very important.
Extremely.
Mm.
Wherever in the saloon, they loved him.
Yeah.
When he was doing the carrying of items, they loved him.
Mhm.
He has gone to this other lady, they love him. He goes to Usafi where he's buying things, they are saying, we love
This is
you.
the man. And when he's leaving,
Yes,
he's not running away.
correct.
You
Correct.
talk to your boss and say, you know what?
I want to get going on my
Because you
own.
never know what happens.
Correct.
Yes. So at what point do you make the decision to go and seek skills from Enterprise Uganda?
Now, actually, I'm so sorry, but let me tell you from where I
We
started.
can start from there,
Of
yes.
course.
Mm.
When I told this mom of mine that, please, mom, I should do something. You know, I'm now old enough.
Yeah.
You know, I have also responsibilities. You know, the house, the what, I should do my business. She was like, it's okay.
Wow.
You go and do your business. She gave me that opportunity.
Mhm.
So when I went, immediately, remember, me when I'm working, I have that character in me, the issue of saving the money. Because in all times, actually, me, I always have goals. I have things that I'm looking for. I have things that I'm aiming. So I took that step again. When I took that step, this is when I started business. When now coming back second time, second phase, I looked for that place. To my surprise, I got a place in a very good, you know, actually on the, should I say on the main road? Let me say like that. But we you know, in the market, we have some routes that we call that. This one is Kampala Road.
It's like
the
the
other
main
one is
street.
Nakasero.
Okay.
Yes. So I got on a main street.
Okay.
And I started, due to my customer care, I started now calling my clients like I used to do. Please, 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 I have this, they are fresh. As you can see, I can give you bonus, please, please. By the way, the customer turned up because after, on that very day, it was a weekend, it was Friday. So in the morning, very early, my usual time of going to Usafi, that is 4 a.m., I had to go to Usafi and get stuff. When I got stuff, I brought them to Nakawa Market. Then I started. Remember when I was leaving the other place, there are some other workers like me who are like, please, can we go together? Because you are a good person, I think. You will pay us nicely. It's not because they were paid badly. We were all paid nicely.
Yeah.
But they just liked me. We went. Then we started a business. On that day, I got, that time we had, it was a season of buhezo, that is fresh peas but buhezo. And then fresh beans, there were 2 bags.
Okay.
But I saw them in 2 days,
I hear you.
Friday and Saturday. And I was like, hey, I can make money. Because you can imagine getting the stuff today, you sell them today and tomorrow. You see your capital here. You
And
see
your profit.
You understand?
I get you.
So I was like, hey, this thing works. So let me go to your question. how did I join Enterprise Uganda? So in that due period when my business was running, remember now the customers that I was shopping for also increased
Yeah.
due to that too much trust in me. Because you know, if like now you Mr. Boji, I work for you, you'll be like, no, this boy this is actually a very good boy. Then you join me to your friend.
So referrals.
Definitely. So I was like, okay, I got customers like that. And when Mr. Balimwezo, that's the mayor of Nakawa, he told us that thing. He brought that idea to the market. And he was like, we are looking for those young people. We want to train those young people business. Remember, I stopped in Siniafo.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to acquire the business skills. So I was like, now I'm going to leave my job for a 5-day lessons. How will I cope up? So what did I do? I was like, I don't want to lose this opportunity because it was funded by Mr. Balimwezo.
Yes.
And I was, by the way, I thank him for that. I didn't want to lose the opportunity. And I also wanted my business to continue moving. I decreased on the stuff that I was bringing. And I told one of my workers, the one that I trusted most, I was like, now, because I used to live that.
How many workers did you have at the time?
At the time by that time, I had 5.
You had 5, okay.
Yes, 5, but sometimes 8, like that. So I was like, now what you should do, I should make the stuff, prepare them, and then like count the cups of peas which are there, count the cups of beans which are there, and then I leave. You know, because if I count the cups of peas and beans, I get to know when this person sells this amount,
Yes.
I'll get this.
So much.
When he tries to remove some,
Yes.
I will at least have this.
Yes.
You know, so I get that in me.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I think this is what I should do. I went, and for the first day,
Yeah.
we did everything was so good. They taught us very many things, and to my, actually, should I call it? It was really a very big opportunity, because the things that I was looking for, they are the very things I found there.
Share with us some of those.
Now, on the first thing that I wanted most is how, remember I had business already.
Yeah.
So how should I expand my business from where it is to a big business, or from where it is to more and more branches? I got that idea. And by the way, Mr. Chichi, thank you so much. Because he told us very many things about it. You should do this. But when you do this, like, and now the things of capital, if you have, let me say, 200,000 capital, then you use it, and then you get a profit of 50,000. That is 250. What you should do, you first remove that 200,000, put it here. That is your capital you used. Then you put the 50,000, the profit, on the table. Then you should, what you should do, you have to divide that money. Remove the 25,000, add it on the 200,000. Then this one, you do your things.
You can eat and do whatever.
Yes.
Don't
Now,
eat the entire profit.
Yes.
Of course. You make sure half of it is added on the capital.
Oh, yeah.
And now, hence, increasing the capital. So the capital, which was 200,000, now it is 225,000.
Yeah.
So we have speak the message.
So it's increasing. And I got that. And I was like, now, if I have 300 and I get a profit of 100,000, I can increase on my profit and get the 350, and
Yes.
yet I still have even some money in the pocket,
Yes.
whereby I can even use to buy something that I want. But
Yes.
remember, even on this profit, don't spend it as if you've picked it somewhere.
Yes, you've won a lottery.
Of course. Now you have that. Now you have
Oh
that
my
profit.
God.
Yes.
If you have that profit, now we've increased our capital. Now it's aside.
I hear
Now
you.
let us deal on the profit.
I hear you.
Now let me say you used 300. You get a profit of 100. You've removed the 50,000. You put it on the other capital. Now you have the 50,000. What are you going to do? Again a half.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
That's another 25, right?
Yes.
You put that 25 on your saving.
You see?
Then this 25.
Yes.
This is what you should use to eat what you want. to buy what you want, okay? Or if you don't want to buy something, you keep it in your pocket, such that you don't touch on the capital. You
Yes.
have this amount that
Yeah.
if you want something that you in really need of it, you can use this money. And remember, if you know that you have only like 25,000, remember this is your capital. You don't want to touch on it. If you have this one, you cannot look for something that is bigger than that amount, or that can finish all that amount. You have to get something of, let me say, 15,000, such that you can remain with that 10.
Any other lesson? Because here I'm dying to bring in Charles to really refine that message, because it's quite powerful,
It's so
Charles.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
now another thing, actually, this I told it to some of my friends who never had anything
chance.
to do.
Mm.
Yeah, and I was like, there is this thing of removing the excuses. Okay, you are telling us you are an orphan. Then what?
Yeah.
You are telling us you have no capital. Then what?
Mm.
Your capital is your head. How are you going to use your head to turn up into cash capital? You understand? So, and actually, they drew a goat, a goat,
Yes.
that when it's tied here, now the rope is, let me say, from here up to there.
Yes.
The grass that goat will eat, it will be that grass where the rope stops.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you cut that rope, that goat will start even eating the grass that is beyond.
Yes.
It will even go to the neighbors.
Of course. What is the meaning?
Yes.
You're telling us we have problems. You see our clan, we don't make money. You see,
Yes.
even my father died poor. What's the meaning? You have to be different. Don't tell us those stories. The world is not ready to hear those stories.
Yes.
The world is ready to see what you put on the table.
I hear you.
So-
Hold it there, Twib. Charles, this is the
Yes.
point where I bring you in. But before I do, I have a Rotarian here from
Yes.
Ginger
Yes.
called Mr. Thompson Ofono.
Yeah.
He's saying, thank you for this wonderful show. It's educative. Mr. Chichi, keep up on. We are doing it also as Rotarians in Uganda, in Vijana Poa. He's
That's Mr.
appreciating
Ofono.
it. Mr. Ofono, yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Ofono, and keep listening to this kind of a program. And then I want to quickly just highlight the kind of things that this young man, and I'm amazed how much he still remembers as if the training took place yesterday. This training was about how many years ago? 2, 3?
I think too.
2 years ago.
I think.
And let's first complete. You know, the first principle that he learned was never remain the same. Always keep on increasing. And what that phrase in Luganda?
Yeah.
What can you tell them what the phrase was in Luganda?
Maririza
Tambula.
tambula.
Whenever you complete something, don't rest there. Keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. Malirisa tambula, malirisa tambula. They understood it so well, but then they said, how do we practically do it?
Yeah.
That's how now the saving and reinvesting principle came in. You make a profit, cut 50% of it, go and improve
Yeah.
on the original capital.
Yeah.
And that is how we get what we call organic growth. No successful business person who has mastered the game of running an enterprise and running it in a growing manner
Yeah.
has no organic internal growth. Extremely important. The other element that it brings out so key again for anybody, not just a young person, is we have enough excuses to reach for to explain why we cannot do something. And the commonest is, I don't have capital. This young man now, what are your sales like per week now?
Now-
First of all, you tell us the sales when you're coming to Enterprise Uganda.
Now, before going to Enterprise Uganda,
Yes.
it was like 300, like that,
Per what?
like a month.
Per month?
Yes.
Okay.
But right now,
Yeah.
here comes that I can make a sales for everything, even the company
Yes.
and everything.
Yes.
I can make something like 5 million
Per
a month.
month.
Yes.
You see that?
I
So-
hear you.
He has moved from 300,000 turnover to 5 million turnover.
And I'm going to ask Charles,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
producer is going to, flash some of the pictures of Atwib here on the screen so that we get a feel of what we're talking about here at some point. Yes.
Yeah, so you can see when he went to that word excuses, excuses that work, they are so beautiful. The moment you say, I stopped in senior 4, people automatically know, my God, he has no future. Education, he lost it. Capital, he doesn't have it. Connections, he doesn't have them. A good salary, doesn't have a good one. That should have been enough for a twib to sit at home and say, even God knows my situation.
My fate.
Everybody knows my situation.
Yeah.
But see the fighting spirit we are talking about here.
Yeah.
That excuse that you put around yourself is like the rope that you put around a goat.
Yeah.
Now, if that rope has been released and you are still having it around you, you still feel that it's restricting you. But we now tell them in the training, cut the rope, release yourself from all those excuses that appear believable. I'm not educated. We believe you. That's why you are like that. My dad was poor. We believe you. That's why you are like that. But there are many people who are nothing. They are billionaires in this city.
I agree.
With this humble beginning.
Yes, yes.
300,000 turnover
Yeah.
a month is not 5 million
5 million.
turnover a month.
That's the importance of hand-holding. That's the importance of training.
Correct. And
That's
then
the
you can
importance of
see,
counseling.
here's a young man who initially first got into this game and said, I'm inspired by the man I'm seeing in somebody's pocket.
Yeah.
But in between there are many things you put right for this inspiration to deliver what we are now seeing here.
I hear you. Perfect, perfect. Now, Atwib, how many people are you employing today, and how have you expanded your business? I mean, just paint for us a picture of how your business is.
Of course. But before that, let me first, at least, another thing that I cannot forget about the lessons. It was the thing of the loans.
Okay.
How to deal with loans.
Yes.
That issue, actually, it makes me laugh sometimes. Sometimes it makes me think, now, what are we going to do? Because now Mr. Chichi said about something. You know your business is worth 100,000. Now, why do you want to get also a loan of 100,000 shillings? And yet that is where your business is. You know, if you have your business is worth 100,000 shillings,
Yes.
you should get a loan which, if you're to get a loan, you should get a loan which is like lower than that amount of
Yes.
money. You understand? So I was like, okay. And he was like, if you want the loan, first know, can my business afford to pay that loan? Can I really pay that loan after getting it? So that's another issue. And another issue, he gave us examples. For example, Nakumat. Remember the why he brought those examples? And another thing, he was telling us about the very important people in business. You know,
Yep.
the suppliers, the staff, and the other ones. Even the bankers are there, by the way. So he was telling us that if you mistreat any of these ones, the whole thing will be done. If you don't pay the suppliers, you will not get the money to pay the staff. You will not get the money to pay the rent. The business will collapse. If you don't pay the suppliers, they will not give you staff again. You know, whereby you will also sell and get money.
I hear you.
So, the thing about loans, Nakumat, we saw it, it collapsed.
I hear you.
And he told us about the Michael Jackson stuff. And we were like, oh. Now, if this big man can collapse because of loans. By the way, that's why I haven't got any loans so far.
Charles, I think we need a dedicated show
No,
on managing
very,
loans,
very true.
on managing financing. But let me ask, so today,
Yes,
I understand that your business has now expanded beyond the market stall.
true.
You've actually embraced new technology to deliver your service.
Of course.
Tell us about that.
Actually, thank you so much for this pleasure. Let me introduce to you people, the viewers, the Hatwib Supplies and Logistics. That's the new company that I've actually started up, and it deals with supplies. If you want fresh foods, dry foods, I can bring them to you. And actually, you trusting me is, I get the stuff, you receive the stuff. After receiving your stuff, that's when you pay the money. You don't pay like when you've not seen the stuff. You pay for what you've seen. You pay for what you see that it's what you wanted. Okay? And then for the other stuff, for the dry stuff, for everything in the market, for as long as foodstuffs. And the other things on the logistics, we have tours and travel.
Yeah.
I have my friends that I'm working with, they have cars, like vehicles. So if you want to go somewhere, please, you just call.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
So how many people do you employ in this supply? Because I understand now, from what you're explaining, is that you don't have to wait for your customers to come to your stall,
True.
but you can take the services
Of course.
to where they are.
Of course.
Yes.
Mm.
So how many people do you employ on a good time?
Now, right, on a good time, I can employ like 15 people.
Okay.
Yes, I can employ like 15 people. You know, when it's a good day, you get lists, like for people who want stuff. So you have to have those people who are going to carry those stuff. You have those people who are going to help you shopping. You have those people who are going to take those stuff to where the owner of the stuff is. Yeah. So when the day is good, I can have like 15. I can have even 20 if at all the day is good.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to say this to especially the young people. I mentioned them at the beginning.
Yeah.
We have very many young people home now. You can imagine all the university students are home,
Of course.
seated.
Yeah.
We don't know when this lockdown will be lifted. We have many teenagers in secondary school. I'm sure some of them could be nursing ambitions of running for CHEU after the lockdown is lifted. What advice do you have for them?
Actually, let me talk to all audiences on that thing. You know, first and foremost, youth, we have energy, we have the power. Let us remove this kind of the boosting around, the having those funny stuff. They are nothing when you don't have money, when you don't have what to, like, when you don't have a job. You have to look at yourself. What should I do that will make a different person?
Yeah.
You're spending too much money going to church, but you can invest that money here and you do something different, and it can even change your life for good. So for those people, let me start with those people who doesn't have like what to do. You really have what to do because you have your head. That's the first thing. Your head, you sit down, relax, think about what you want to do. No, like, make it a goal, make it a target. When you know what you want, you will start fighting for that thing. How? Now let me say you want something that needs capital of 500,000 and you don't have a single penny in your pocket. Then when you want that thing, you will start fighting for it. How should I get the other thing that I want? When it needs fetching water for people, you will do it just because you have a target. When it means like collecting garbage, you will do it just because you have a reason. You understand? So, but that kind of boosting around members, it's not good.
It doesn't help.
Yes.
Now, I want us to be precise here because I have quite a number of questions for you and Charles.
Yeah.
One of them, I'll start with you again. I have Joel from Tororo. He's saying he began a business of supplying onions to Kampala. And by the time he began the business, the selling price was 4,000 shillings. Now, by the time he actually participated, by the time he made the idea, he thought about the idea of supplying,
Yes.
it was 4,000. Then by the time he actually participated in supplying, it had reduced, it had cut around 2,000 shillings.
So it was 2,000?
It is 2,000.
Yes.
He's confused. What could you advise? Because I know you play in a market that has a lot of
Those kind
oscillations
of things happen, yeah.
in pricing.
Now, for that sake, in the market, there are things that you should do. You should look at and first do the survey. Okay, you understand? Now, he told us that before doing the business, the price was 4,000, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
When he started participating in the business,
Yes.
it was 2,000.
Yeah.
What you should do, you don't need to sit. You participate and see what are the challenges are there. Now you should also know. Now it is 2,000. Now let me look for the good quality such that they will see the difference. You know, when you see things when they are very cheap, cheap things are not good sometimes, but expensive things are good. The customer will look at the quality,
Yeah.
and he will be like, you will be saying that the other one is 2,000. Okay, we've seen that. Now mine is 2,500. But the quality will matter there.
I hear you.
You know. So now when it comes to, he said onions.
Yeah.
He said onions. Now onions come from different places.
Yeah.
There are those ones of TZ, there are those ones of Humbari. They are all onions.
I hear you.
But what's your quality? Your quality determines your price.
Great. Charles, as you come in,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help us to distill
Yes.
Atwib's information on that point.
Yes.
I have Salong here. He's
Yeah.
in the diaspora.
Yeah.
He's from Kawempe
Mm.
originally, and he's saying, what advice can you give a Ugandan who is out there? We talked about Cheyo, and he wants to come back home and settle. What kind of business? Where can they start?
Anybody with the resources, whether you are returning from the diaspora or you are within the country here, the first thing you need to do is to say, what is your volume of available resources? And then you begin to check what are the kind of business opportunities that I can associate with, which I can connect with and create a bit of a sense of happiness and interest in me. Because going into business by itself is not an easy game. So you need to find out what are those openings that are available for which the resources I have, I can actually get on and do them.
I hear you.
Now, once you've done that, the next thing is do not ignore what Atwib went through. Inspiration, a desire to get started in a business is good, but get the minimum trade skills. We call them in our training key success factors. Talk to somebody who has been in that type of a business and borrow a leaf from them. And once you do that, the next thing is get going. But as you get going, remember when you get the first customer, don't get excited on interfering with capital. And when you make the profit, on that profit, a portion of it put back to the old capital that you had as you were buying items to supply the customer. So getting the business idea, having an interest in the business idea, making sure that the resources are sufficient for you to supply the customer and you start getting money from the customers is very key.
Thank you very much. Of course, I have so many people here asking for how they can be part of the Enterprise Uganda program.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
and I think we'll share you know, the contacts and everything. And thank you, viewers, for watching. We have many complimenting us on the good show, which I think is a good thing. And I think Atwib's story is quite inspirational. Now, Atwib, I know, again, it's a question that I've asked before, and I want to put it to you as well. You know, government has a number of programs to help the youth.
Sure.
From where you sit, what do you think is lacking in these programs? How can they be made to deliver the impact they are meant to deliver, which is transforming the lives of young people?
Now, what I think that should be done, the government should increase, now like the Enterprise Uganda. If it needs these people to like have very many groups that can be in different places, because the youth just need to be taught about the things. The youth just need to be given like counseling on how to do things. That's what youth are missing. Because once you are taught something, you will just go and think about it like me. Because I also thought of how should I increase on my business? How should I expand my business?
Yes.
Because it's now Atwib Supplies and Logistics.
Yes.
Yes. How should I increase on it? You know? And it was like puzzling me. Because I was like, I have to show the difference. I have to show that I really went there. And how it, not in words, but in doings, actions.
I hear you. Thank you. Charles, I have two questions here which you can run through, because the number of people watching us from diaspora who are asking that you've actually helped answer. But I have someone here who's asking, they have women groups in Jinja. And they've been trying to build, you know, collective businesses, you know, as a group and that kind of thing. And he's wondering, how can you help them as Enterprise Uganda, as a business coach? Or what quick counsel can you give them?
I think the ginger person needs to get in touch with Enterprise Uganda. And I know the COVID challenge is going to go away at some point. When it does happen, we will be able to get some training that's suitable for those groups. We have now a proper training package for people who are trading as a group. Because trading as a group has got two aspects that are so fundamental. Number one, what are you selling? And to what extent is that thing that you are selling and you have caused all members to focus on, to what extent is that a great opportunity cost to all the other things the group members should have done? Because the group members are coming from all types of backgrounds. They could have done many things.
Yeah.
You've told them, no, let's focus on this one. Whatever you are focusing on, have you done proper analysis to make sure that it's a worthwhile engagement for all the members of that group? That's a key aspect of a group. Number two, once the groups have been able to say, we now buy into this, groups bring in the benefit of volumes, the benefits of visibility. Now, where somebody used to sell one sack of onions or pineapples, as a group now you have got a lorry load. Now somebody from Masaka or from Kampala can take a full lorry to that place and collect at a go. That sounds easy, but you need good leadership. And most groups, in the beginning, they appear as if they are united, but you need to get that to be embedded in good governance, good leadership, and that's when we bring in group dynamics, group training, and leadership and governance. Those are the kind of things that we need to get to work. Otherwise, we have done a lot of these experiments.
Yeah.
And excited members, only to go there and find out, oh no, I left pineapples thinking that if I'm in a group, I would get more money. I'd rather go back to my pineapples and
Yeah.
abandon these beans.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Atwib, you're 23 years now,
Yes.
and I don't want to say sing and searching, because I don't want to go into that discussion.
Of course.
But when you get married,
Yes.
and God blesses you with children, and I think this would be very important to parents that are watching this show,
Of
and probably are stuck with their kids. They are looking at them every day. They have nothing to do, no school, no nothing. What kind of advice would you give your children? How would you like to bring up your children?
The first thing is like, you know, we do business, but the first thing is to have like time for my family. You know, the first thing, if you want your actually, to me, it's discipline. That's why I'm here. It's discipline, because I've passed all through the stuff just because of my discipline.
Yeah.
That's from my parents. So the first thing is discipline. Remember, it's the key to success.
Yeah.
And you be point blank to the children, like to me. You tell the child the real thing. What's that, and what does it bring? If you do this, it becomes this. If you do this, it turns up into this.
That's a good one. Now, tell us your experience. I'm sure it hasn't been a bed of roses. I know you talked about the challenges you faced in the beginning.
Of course.
There's always competition in business.
True.
How are you handling that?
I like competition.
Okay.
I like competition. You know, in competition, you get the knowledge to think. You know, now I have a neighbor. He sells the same stuff. You will go very early before that neighbor comes. You know, you'll start getting good stuff, clean and very like perfect, because of the competition. But when there is no competition, there is that thing of relaxing. You know, you're alone in that thing. You know, but when there is competition, you get to make sure that your business is always good. You're always there. You know that. So that's what happens when that's actually why I like competition.
Very good.
Yeah.
Charles, I have quite a number of people watching us from the diaspora. Apparently they can't call in. From Kigali, from South Sudan, and from Somalia. And they are wondering, viewers, those are some of the images of the activities and the products that Atwib here sells. So they're wondering whether Enterprise Uganda can come up with some kind of a diaspora program. Because I'm seeing many questions. People wondering, I'm here working. I don't know what I will do when I come back home. But you attempted to answer that through the other question.
I will still add to this, to that observation, that we are going to have a specific diaspora product. Because diaspora people have got resources.
Yeah.
These people have burnt all energy, and they are saying, we are doing this to get some capital put together. And they have been sending these resources home. We need to get to a point where once the things stabilize, we have a diaspora product where we get the diaspora people to say, here is me in Dubai. I have my people in Amuri. I have my people in Kisoro. I'm going to get them into the next training. And please, this training should be just about those people who are getting for resources from relatives from abroad and how they can channel those resources very well. Do you know the money we get from the diaspora is one of the biggest resources in terms of forex in this country?
It's actually the second.
Exactly.
Yes.
$1.2 billion
Yes.
is big money.
It's huge.
No government gives that kind of support to the ordinary community, but the diaspora people are doing that.
That's right.
The day we begin to get the diaspora people get that money to this country, but finds minds that are like the one of Hatwib, this country is set to zoom and do a great impact as a nation in Africa. But I also wanted to comment what he's talked about to competition. He said, I get excited about competition. Actually, a great businessman, Warren Buffett, put it plainly. He said, never underestimate the benefits of having a competitor who wants you out of the market. He is the one who drives your thinking, your creativity on a continuous basis. And then he went ahead and added, should I go into a sector and I seem to have almost crushed, I was done so well that everybody has given up to compete with me.
Yeah.
He says, I will create it myself. I will make sure that I create a branch in Tororo
Yes.
to compete with a branch in Masaka,
Yes.
to compete with a branch in Moroto, and then I get them to really clash. So that the benefit of competition is to result in better service for the consumer, better rewards for the economy.
That's how you get
That
better.
is the benefit of competition.
I agree.
So
I
he
agree.
said, if you find that there seems to be no competition around, create one.
I hear you.
It's good for the country, it's good for the business.
Now, Atwib,
Yes.
does your family expect you to support them? And which ways? Because, I mean, here you are, you're doing a business. It's not bad. And I'm sure they are watching.
Of course.
Because at some point you ran to them
Of
for, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, of course, as the eldest boy in the family, actually they expect like too much from me.
Okay.
And of course I do. Like when it comes to some kind of school fees, some kind of like when the need is of, you know, we need money for this and it is really urgent, I do help.
I like the politeness with which you're putting that, you know, some kind of school fees.
Of course. So, actually, my family needs me the more I need them. So when it comes to support, I do.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Paint for us a picture. At 40, where would you want to be sitting?
Oh, wow. I just like that question. At 40, the first thing, I know I'll be having my house, a mansion, put aside. Then I would like to, I know I will be having a very huge office of my company. That's Hatwib Supplies and Logistics, whereby we have very many cars which would help transporting our corporates. The supplies, when we are at least supplying also the UN, those the posho, the beans in tons. So all those contracts, when we like I have branches in different parts of Uganda and outside Uganda. And I know I'll be known all over the world as the biggest entrepreneur and the youngest.
I love the vision. I love the vision. Charles, as you wrap this up.
Yeah. I want to say this, that let Ugandans know that the greatest stories we have been admiring have the kind of footprints that this young man is currently walking. Baby steps, steady, visionary, firm, and resilient. So when we now begin to bring these stories as they are forming, Ugandans should take notice and know that this is how all these great men that we're talking about, when we talk about the Wabambunos, the Bita Toures, the whatever, you check back exactly what Hatwib is walking through right now is the journey they walked. And it's so reassuring that in our own country, in our own midst, these stories do exist. And through these Sundays, I want Ugandans to know, if you are not a young man, you know a young man of this age, and you should be able to borrow what you are hearing from here to take home. If you are not having a relative like that one, you could be a parent with a son like this, and there's something you can pick up from here and say, Enterprise Uganda, you taught those fundamentals. Are you still doing them? We have a product exactly like that, that we keep on sharing and running across the country. So Uganda should know that much as we are an enterprising country, many of our businesses do not last the distance because of what you have just heard from this young man. Inspired, took action, but lacked the trade skills. He lacked the trade skills. He fixes the trade skills, he jumps and is now moving. Look at the vision.
Very powerful vision. Thank you very much, Charles.
Very good.
Atwib Buyengo, thank you for your time. And I'm sure you've inspired quite a number of people out there. Viewers will be here every Sunday, next Sunday again, to share more stories, more practical experiences that can help you build lasting businesses. But most importantly, help you sustain, especially for those that are in business, that business operation. Because, I mean, learning is a daily activity, it's a daily task. You can't say, I have it all. You can't say, I've ticked that box of learning and I'm home and dry. So we'll definitely ensure that, you know, we have as much experiences as these for you to pick from. I've been your host, Charles Bwogi. I'd like to thank my panelists, Charles Ochichi, Atwib Buyengo, for their time, and for your time to actually be watching this show. And those that have been asking questions and comments, I know there are many we couldn't respond to because of time, but I can guarantee you we'll pick some pointers from that and we'll start from there next time. Until next time, have a good evening. Bye-bye.